Hey there, this is my presentation on climate change and how it impacts us. So how does climate change impact people? Climate change, first off, let's go over the definition. It refers to long-term shifts in climate change and weather. The difference is weather is more of a short term, whereas climate change refers to long term, not just the weekly weather report, but climate is in average temperatures over long periods of time. Since the 1880s, we've been using fossil fuels, and that's been one main driver of climate change right now, which is rising temperatures and trapping warmer air on Earth's surfaces. The burning of fossil fuels, gas, aerosol sprays, coal, the burning of oils has added to the average global temperature on Earth. It's increased by at least 1.1 Celsius since 1880, according to temperature analysis done by NASA. So now that we know that it's increased by just 1 degree Celsius, it doesn't sound like much, but it still does affect us. One ways that it does affect us is stronger storms. That means more flood damage and more injury to us. One example is Hurricane Harvey, which was in 2017. It caused a lot of damage in Texas and certain parts of Louisiana. According to the New York Times, scientists believe that climate change played a huge role in how damaging the effects of this specific hurricane was. The total rainfall for this one was 15% to 38% greater than it would have been if it wasn't for global warming, according to 2 different studies published in 2017. Climate change has caused more extreme weather events, according to a study done at Yale Climate Connections, and a heat wave in 2021 was the second deadliest weather disaster of the year. It caused 1,037 deaths. If you break that down, that was 808 in Western Canada and 229 in northwestern U.S. Climate change is also affecting our health. Warmer temperatures, which are causing more heat waves, are going to cause things like heat stroke. They're going to cause our core body temperatures to mess up, which cause heart and respiratory issues. Climate change also affects the breeding cycles of different insects like mosquitoes and ticks, which means more things like malaria and Lyme disease. It's also affecting the way plants are growing, which means more pollen in the air, and air quality issues, which another cause of climate change, which is our greenhouse emissions, is another big issue with our air quality. According to the World Allergy Organization, allergic reactions to pollen have been more frequent and have been a lot more severe over the last few decades. And there's even weather radars that you can download now to show air quality alerts to help warn people that have allergies and respiratory issues so they know, what to look out for if they need to wear masks. Another way that it involves us and impacts us greatly is our food supplies. Things like heat waves and drought and changes in our precipitation have effects on our agriculture and our livestock. Food is important for us. I don't know about you, but I really like to eat. So food shortages not only affect our health, but they also affect our economy. So, speaking of our economy, climate change also affects our national economy. It affects our agriculture. It affects energy like electricity, and it affects mortality rates. To further delve into the agriculture, it doesn't just affect us personally, but it really affects our economy. Farms in the United States supply nearly 25% of all of our grains, according to Chicago's EPA website. Higher carbon dioxide levels and warmer weather, differences in precipitation, all those different things affect crop yields. Not just plants, but livestock is also a major part of agriculture. Things like heat waves and higher temperatures affect livestock as well. Also, I found on Chicago's EPA site that it's caused over $1 billion in heat-related losses. Again, not just do pests like mosquitoes and things affect us with our health, pests also are a big deal in agriculture. These changes to temperature are greatly affecting Africa. There's been a huge locust outbreak that's threatening thousands of crops, which is putting about 5 million people at risk of starvation, according to the World Economic Forum. Climate also affects energy, with heat waves coming in and different snowstorms in other areas. That puts a huge demand on the energy grids. And whenever our nation's energy infrastructure is in jeopardy, that means businesses can't work. That means stores lose products like things that are refrigerated, like foods or medicines. Speaking of medicines, hospitals, they need oxygen to use to do surgeries or run their equipment. We count on electricity to run air conditioners or heat homes. Another thing that it messes with is mortality rates. When a nation struggles with things like food supplies and our energy, when we can't rely on those two things, populations can be affected. The more we deal with extreme weather conditions and floods and heat exposure, people have lost homes. Overall, a total of more than 11,000 Americans have died from heat-related causes since 1979, according to the EPA. Also, in Canada, thousands of hospital visits and 15,300 premature deaths have been linked to air pollution. And that's a lot of people. All these things have been linked to climate change. Globally, all those things can also be turned not just to look at nationally, but globally. But one big thing that you can look at globally is extinction. Climate change has been affecting species around the world. One example that I have in the picture is polar bears. As the temperature warms up and glaciers melt, they're losing their home. A press release from Deloitte, the Global Turning Point report, it found that climate change could cost the global economy, in U.S. money, $178 trillion over the next 50 years, possibly, if we don't try to turn this around. So it's pretty important to understand that climate change does not only impact us personally, it impacts other people, not in just our nation. It impacts other nations, and it impacts us around the earth and globally.